everyone to the Muses that Spark, episode 3, where we're going to talk about your inner child. First of all, we are your hosts of today, Athena and Melanie. The topics we are discussing are a lot about mindset, lifestyle, and if you're not happy with your current lifestyle or mindset and how you want to change it, it all comes to one big base. It's your inner child. So, what do I mean with this? We've all been children before. That's how we started. So, we've been going through these life phases. And when we were children, that's the most important phase, I would say. The most important moments where you learn your habits or who you are as a person without being really aware of it. And awareness we talked about in our previous episode, and we shall probably talk about it more in the coming ones. When you're younger, you pick up your behaviors from your parents, your friends. I mean, you're also going to school. You have your teachers, your friends, your classmates, and you're going to high school. Most of us went to high school. But even if you didn't, even if you skipped school, you had your friends around you.
She's saying hello.
She's saying hello. Oh, she's not coming with me. She's so done with me. I keep pulling her away from the microphone. No. So that's Daisy.
You will see her in almost every episode, so don't mind.
No, that's our little child. Well,
Yeah.
hers.
Our also.
Well, yeah, we're all.
Exactly. But yeah, about the inner child.
It is quite a big topic.
It is, and we had in our previous podcast, we talked about mindset and self-awareness, and we found out that it's also a very big topic at the end.
Yes, exactly. And we noticed when we are talking about, for example, awareness, that we bring up previous encounters, and memories, and the way we then behaved in that certain situation is because you picked it up when you were younger.
Exactly.
And now, well, we are also still learning and trying to fix our behaviors, trying to learn different ways of approaching certain situations. But before we could do that, we first needed to figure out how we're doing it now, and it's something like the way we talk, the way we approach. It really is something we only can reflect on from how we did it before.
Yeah,
So
from our inner child.
Yeah,
from our when we were younger. So you need to imagine you are born and you see things, you feel things. You look up at your mother, you look up at your father, if you are lucky to have them, of course. But you are picking up all the things, all the fears from your parents or caretakers, etc. Or maybe the good things, to be brave, maybe some confidence. But eventually, everything you choose, you make that based off the experience you have.
Yeah. Also from what you've seen when you were children.
Yeah.
So, for example, what I noticed with myself, I always grew up with Disney. So a lot of behaviors, I feel like I already am a quite creative person, but what I noticed, for example, this is quite funny, I saw it as well online, is how I was never allowed to watch SpongeBob.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's new.
And I really see a difference between people who were allowed to watch SpongeBob and people who weren't, because a lot of people also were not allowed to watch SpongeBob.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
because
I did.
Of the very silly behaviors, the jokes he has. Like, he's actually interrupting his neighbor all the time, and we're making fun of it. Well, I think poor Octo, you've been continuously being interrupted, like annoyed by your neighbor.
I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah, that's something I noticed. And also, for example, me, I watched Disney, like I mentioned, and my cousins, from young on, their parents were divorced. And well, divorced, separated, they never really married. Besides that, though,
Exactly.
ever since they were younger, their dad would watch action movies. My dad would as well. Action movies. And I was thinking like, there are people being murdered on TV and you're just watching it. Now, they turn out to be fine, but other people, I noticed like there's a whole behavior
around
difference.
Yeah.
Because you're a young person, like we're talking about an underage person, and you're surrounded by not a lot of things. It really is when you become older that life hits you. That's what you also hear. Life really hits you at some point.
At some point, yeah.
And then you realize that all these build-up effects, all these build-up surroundings, moments, situations, really create the person who you are at the moment.
Exactly, and what we also talked about is that it depends on who you are, but most of the time it also influences your behavior. So in the future, if you need to make a big decision, you will base it on what happened in the past.
Exactly.
And I think it's very important to hear that maybe again and again and again.
Yes.
Because you need to let go of some things. Not everything, because some things are trauma related, some things are happy things related, but letting go is also something good for your inner child. Because some decisions you will make because of an emotion you have at the moment. Maybe you are angry because when you were a child you didn't feel loved at that moment if something happened the same. And you only want to feel loved at that moment, but it just doesn't happen. So you can think, okay, right now I'm angry, but why am I angry?
Yeah.
Why?
I think it's quite funny because we were discussing it a couple of weeks ago that during this period of time, every year I felt either sad or angry because of certain situations that would come up, like specifically this time of the year.
Yeah.
And then I mentioned to you how I felt not numb, but I didn't feel sad or angry, and I'm very confused about that. I felt nothing. I didn't even feel happy because nothing really happy happened, or I was mostly confused to focus on being happy. So I mentioned it to you as well, like, what's going on? What is this? And then you said it could be that they're from a past situation that your body still actively reacts to it without you knowing.
Yeah.
And that is quite I have heard it multiple times, but once you experience it, you don't realize it. And when you point it out, it actually is kind of like an awakening, like, oh, that makes so much sense, you know?
Yeah, and it's kind of funny that you mention it, because I also want to talk today about your nervous system. Something I've learned this year so much, and the past year also, is your body reacts the way it thinks it needs to react. So if you have a related trauma, and something is triggering your body, not your mind, because that are two different things. If it's reacting on it, you don't even have to know it as you say it, because that's a special thing about it, that your body reacts.
Right.
I've had so many things happen to my body reacting, and I was, like what you said, also really confused. But after a lot of digging, I found out it's something related to back trauma of me, of my life. So that's also indeed what you say about your inner child.
It's your inner child feeling unsafe.
And triggering. Your nervous system is acting on things that happened in the past. Your your body thinks, oh, I'm in danger.
Yes.
Oh, we need to rate up your heart because you need to run, or
yes.
something like that, so you feel very stressed.
Mhm.
But maybe there's nothing to stress about, but your body is literally experiencing the moment when you had a trauma.
Yes.
So what I do is most of the time is looking around me and really mentioning, okay, where am I? What am I seeing? Am I in the same situation as where I was? Most of the time, it's not the same situation. So that's step one, what I do to mention the surroundings. And most of the time, your heart is speeding up without you knowing it. It's so weird. So could you tell me what happened to your body at that moment?
At that moment?
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I was exhausted. I was exhausted because I was so confused also, and I was tired. I could not get out of bed. That was also something. I couldn't get out of bed. My body was saying to me, no, you need to stay safe, so you're gonna stay in bed. And my bed is kind of my safe space. I can think a lot of people can relate to this. Like, it's your little bed. It's super nice.
And did you also feel like your heart racing up, or didn't?
No, I didn't really have that. But when you mentioned, for example, I want to dig a little bit deeper on what you mentioned about your surroundings.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
For example, what do you have in front of you? Well, there is a plant, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, it's green. It has its leaves, and it's pointing out the most basic things. So, like I said, it has leaves.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're focusing on something so simple, so simple, like also, okay, my hair is in a tight, it has gel in it, it's stuck. Like, I'm telling the steps. Okay, how did I do my hair? I first combed it, then I put it in a tail, then I put the gel. Like, the steps, pointing it out. Just the simple things. I don't know how to describe it because it's so simple.
Well,
being aware of it.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing is being present.
That.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we have a lot in our mind, and everybody thinks differently. But what happens to me is if I'm thinking about something, I can make it worse.
That makes sense.
So let's say, for example, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, okay, at this moment there could crash a plane on me. But
at the moment you think longer and longer.
And it will be closer.
Like thinking the situation in the pilot.
And you will think, okay, where can I escape? But okay, right now I'm sitting here in the living room. That it can happen. It can happen, but it will not. No. But you know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm safe, and that's the thing that I think is the most important sentence to say to yourself.
Yeah.
I am safe.
It's good that you're pointing it out.
Yeah.
And I want to mention also, like, because you described it so well to me. So you said you're sitting in the living room. You're sitting on a couch, you're breathing, your cat is sleeping, you focus on those little things. And also the fact that you say, I'm safe. Yeah. So the first time I did that, the very first time, up until now, I can feel like emotional saying it out loud. Really.
I get it.
I have the most amazing parents. Absolutely. But I can imagine, like, I think a lot of immigrant children can relate to the difference between European parents and immigrant parents. And according to my friends here, my parents are strict. Well, now that I'm older, I don't really think so, because I'm 20, in my 20s. But when you're a child, it doesn't seem fair. So a lot of things they try to communicate with you in their not even first language. So they also have a different culture, different way of saying stuff. And my parents, they through a very big traumatic event.
Yeah.
They came out of war, and since it's a topic surrounded by everyone, people don't sometimes really realize how much this affects a person.
Mm-hmm.
So my parents, they handled certain situations a bit differently than I hoped they would have, but that made me the person that I am. And then I realized, for example, if someone said something triggering to me, I would immediately go in defense. Immediately.
Oh yeah.
Because I felt so unsafe. When they said it super normally, but because I remember my parents saying the same thing or scenario that something like that happened. But in this situation, this person says it to me so calmly, yet I felt so attacked.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
I know. I've had many situations.
And that's just your inner child
Yeah.
screaming to you,
Yeah.
I'm not safe.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also like to point out your inner child. Like, I imagine myself when I was a teenager. I don't know what other people imagine, but maybe I hear from people they're 2-year-old or 8-year-old, but for me it's a teenager, because that's what I most remember, for example. However, I think even if you were 40 years old, your inner child can be 20, 25. Because
still, yeah.
If I look at myself, I'm 23, and when I was 17 is 5 years ago. That's not that long back, but it is also at the same time it is.
Yeah.
And 17 is a child. That is a child.
You're still a teenager.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, if I wanted to say, like, you should be free. You should be free to think at any age. Like, that's still your inner child. Maybe you pick something up at a certain age, maybe at a younger age or a far older age than anyone else. It is still your inner child saying to you. It's actually a previous behavior also saying to you, like, hello, help, this is not right. And to change your behaviors now, you need to look back. You need to think, what would make them happy? If I needed to parent myself, how would I approach it to me? How? Like, for example, my parents would say it in quite a direct manner, but for me, that doesn't work. I remember when we were working together, I told her, yes, if I ever change the topic, not related to work, do mention it to me, but be nice.
Exactly.
Because I am still sometimes
triggered by
it.
And that's so logically not for everyone, but
no, everyone experiences it differently.
Yeah, and that's when you take it back to your inner child, it's for everyone different. Or 60. So my parents are also immigrants, but so the language difference, I get that really, because as we're speaking Dutch, we're always really polite. We always say, please, could you take that for me? Yes. Oh, please, can I have some food?
It's sugar-coated, basically.
Yeah, and really thank you for your help. But in my background, it's take that for me. Do the dishes. Yes. Oh, take my plate. But really also like the finger. it's you know where you need to be. But it's very direct.
Yeah, it is.
That's so funny because when I was a child, we spoke about this so many times. But when I was a child, I always would speak the same way to other children.
Right. And then people would literally say to you, why are you angry? Like, I'm not angry.
You can't speak like that.
No.
Oh my god. And they would literally make this movement. Oh my god, you can't speak like that. And I was really scared by it. So eventually I learned the way of speaking as a Dutch person. But
if you say it in Dutch.
But the funny part is that right now, we also mention it, right now people really love when we are directly. Okay, we sugarcoat it
Yes.
also, but in the other way,
Like
more delicate.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, more feminine, but we are
Absolutely.
very still we are very directly, and I love that
Yeah.
about us.
But that's the thing. Now we get so complimented about it.
Yeah,
So
we do.
much. But before, I remember, the thing is here in Holland, a lot of people say, oh, you dare to do that? You dare to stand out? Like, I was always the person who would say to my teacher, I want to be presenting first.
Same.
Or I said, I love school. You know, the gasps. It's so funny. I was a chameleon. I was kind of a nerd, but I was also quite popular. I would not say like, I was, very adapting.
Yeah.
I could talk with everyone, with the older children, the younger kids, and but I was very smart. And
still, you are smart.
Yes, I am still very smart. But even now, I went to an event. I went alone, and everyone around me was like, oh, "You went alone? I could never. I'm so scared. It's like not very common here." That is really what I've noticed, and now we get very much complimented for it.
Yeah.
While we were getting scolded by everyone, actually.
Oh yeah. I can remember that I was in school, and some people said to me who weren't at school with me, said like, how is school? And I'm saying, yeah, it's good. I can talk with everyone. Our class is really one class. That was in my mind, but we had groups. But in my mind at that time, I thought we were one, because I was sitting with the nerds, as you can say.
So
I was
funny what
sitting
you're
with the
saying.
cool kids. I was always with everyone, but what I also noticed was that not everyone could go with everyone, but I accepted that because no one is the same.
No, but it's funny that you mentioned this.
Yeah,
because I had exactly the same.
Same experience.
And
That's weird.
When we, at least for me, when I quit school, so like, for example, I went up to the bigger school, university.
Yeah.
I did not talk with anyone anymore from high school.
Oh, wow.
Meanwhile, the groups that were created, they were still together.
But I think you need to mention that the groups, they already were there. So
absolutely,
when you came, the groups already were separated. They have known each other for maybe 2 years already. Yeah. And you came in the class as a newbie, and then it's always harder to. Yeah.
Well, to be honest, the thing is, personally, that's just me. I hung out with every group. I had my own. I definitely had my own, like mine. But the funny thing was, they were not in my class. None of them.
Oh, that's so
they were all from older ages. They were like, we also have ranks here in Holland. I did the second lowest. I don't want to call it the lowest because it's not bad.
No, it's really not.
No, it really isn't. But I always was friends with the highest rank. So that was also a thing because I really enjoyed school. I loved learning. I loved doing this stuff. So I hung out with them, and they were also quite older because at VWO they get like even 18 years old. But that, to be honest, if we're gonna go back to the main topic, like the inner child, for me, well, that is something that also hurt me a lot, because you can hear us talk about lowest and highest when actually it really isn't. And as I mentioned before, the lowest rank is being paid the most now, because no one wanted to do that. Everyone wanted to be VWO, basically the highest.
Yeah. And everyone. From parents.
And from me, I had so I was pushed. Which makes sense also. But
that's why you also had a degree.
Yeah.
You were pushed, so, and you were.
I'm happy. I'm very happy that I got pushed.
Exactly, but you are a child who needed to have that push.
Yeah.
You didn't see it at that time.
No.
But now, if you're looking back, you're like, okay, I've had to be pushed to to have a degree.
Well, the thing is,
but
but that's a personal matter. I always felt very responsible because I was the oldest child.
oh yeah, don't start about talking about that.
And I wanted to be a very good
example.
Yeah, but for real, what also would have happened if I went to family events, I literally would hear my aunt say, yeah, to my cousins, yeah, hang out with Melanie because she is an example.
Yeah.
And I would hear that, and I was like, but I don't even know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know?
It's very logical. But if we go back to the inner child, how has that helped you right now?
Well, the thing is, for me, how it helped me. First of all, I'm very happy who I am, and I'm also quite a proud person. So I was very happy to be an example, but it also put a lot of pressure that when I'm looking back, I think should have been more kind to myself. It matured me very quickly. That is one thing I feel indifferent about. I don't know if I feel happy or not sad, but I do feel happy about it because it created me being a wise person. From as well from a very young age, from 12 years old even, I would talk with adults and they were like, "You're so wise."
Yeah, I had the same experience. I also had when I was at a birthday party, for example, and it was not only kids, but it was like with kids and with the adults. I was always sitting with the adults.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. But I could speak.
I didn't want to sit with the kids. I wanted to sit with the adults and listen to their adult conversations even.
But I found the kids so annoying that I just sit with adults speaking about very
I don't know. They're talking about very mature content.
Mature things, and I will just come with it, and
I would even discuss with them. I would say, why would you not look at it from another perspective? And I, as a child,
but also my dad also said, you're not mature enough. You're not mature enough. You don't understand. Well, what I can say is I thought I understand it. I have seen it. I've understand it. And as I am as a young adult right now, I see it like, if I'm looking back, I was right.
Me as well. Yeah. But I do agree. I would have to say, now with the knowledge that we have, if I look back, I think, oh, back then I looked at it differently, and now I think, wow, I was a child, but I stood still on those certain topics. That is all. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Like, I understand, but what I wanted to say was, they were talking about work and how exhausting it was, and that school is the fun part, but I already knew, I don't know why, but I already knew that I would love to work.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, I can't wait, I want to grow up, and every child has that, but not every child understands what it means to grow up.
When personally, I was thinking of the family drama.
Of the family drama. Oh no, but you have a whole family here. I have only my dad and my mom
that
here.
Makes sense, yeah.
So the only drama there was me.
That's gonna be an audio. The only drama there was me.
Yeah, but so when I was at birthday parties or anything, I was always talking with them about work stuff, and not that I understand the work they did, because that I could not understand at an age of 8 or 10, No. But I understood what you need to have to work. Yeah. So I understood the hours. I understood. And that's why I always thought by myself, okay, if I want to work, I want to be a business owner.
Wow.
Yeah, I've had that like when I was very little, and that always inspired me. But when I grew up, I lost it, of course, because you're pushed away. And what I mean by that is when you need to have a college degree, you need also, I don't know if it's anywhere else, but here, you need to have a certain degree in a certain career you will do. So you
Yeah.
need to choose your career
Based on, yeah.
yeah.
Yes,
And
exactly.
I never knew, and my mom pushed me one way, and I'm very thankful for that. But it isn't the way I've always wanted.
No.
But yeah, back to that, to the inner child, because that's the most important part. I think that that it affected me very, very much in the things I've chosen for myself.
Yeah.
Because I was very smart at that age, but I was not. I was very. People could influence me like very, very easily.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. I was differently. People could barely influence me purely because I would I would very much go against my parents. Very. And I always thought I was right, but just a little bit because I thought, I'm a child and I was mature at a young age, and I thought, why does everyone calls me wise anyway, so I should be right. And but my teachers, well, I had the highest grades also, so I thought, I'm also smart, and I was very much encouraged. My behavior got very much encouraged by everyone around me except for my parents, like, because I was back talking. Like, they were very proud of me. Very proud who I am. Very proud how wise I am, how active I was. I did a lot of school stuff. I stayed longer in school even. So that's all fine. It's just the part when people would tell me otherwise that I would be like, no, that's not right. That doesn't work. And what happened was, at some point when I got older, that affected me. So when I went to school, a lot of things I did um, was not right. So my behavior in school was fine, but the way I put something on paper, they would say, "No, your level is too low." So, for example,
they have discouraged you.
Yes,
Yeah.
but not once, but like the whole year, for example. And that confused me a lot because I had the highest grades. My teachers always, they also gave me, like, for example, plus points because I was always at school. I was always there. And if I was sick, I was sick. I wouldn't call in sick fakely or something. I was always there. Yeah. So my behavior was basically, I was being scolded all over again, but so differently that I was so confused when I entered adulthood. Very. And that's also probably what a lot of people can relate to. When you're like used to a certain way, and you're going to college or university or even your work field, it is suddenly such a big change.
Oh, the change is so real.
I see you nodding the whole time, like, yes.
Because you know why? When you're this is something we also talked about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because when you're a child, you have a certain emotion, you have certain things that influence you. When I was a child, I got a lot of attention.
Oh yeah, you're only child, right? Like what?
I am an only child, but I have a half brother. But I got a lot
what you mean
of
with attention?
Yeah. And I've always known that eventually, when you're older, it will disappear. But the moment it is disappearing, it hurts so much. It's so weird. And what you're saying with adulthood, it changes. So it is like when you are attached to the feeling to get the attention, you just get symptoms as you're addicted to it.
Oh yeah, so exactly. So when it stopped, you suddenly notice those symptoms, basically.
So you need to go through it. And that can be so hard. Yeah. But adulthood is also what we had in the beginning of this podcast. We talked about is letting go.
Yeah.
letting go of everything you felt, not everything, but everything bad you felt, what can impact your future.
And basically what I want to add to that, like for example for me, how life went through is I was always encouraged in my behavior. Like I told you, I was very hyped up. I had a lot of like cheerleaders, like you're doing great, you're doing amazing. But when I entered university, all I heard was, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong, with everything I'm used to that was right before. And I was it is kind of mentally abusing.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Because at some point, I started isolating myself. So when I look back on it, I thought the people around me were so negative that it actually impacted my health at some point. And that already, that I decided to quit my university, which was insane. Like I told you, I had the highest grade. So when I tell people I quit university, they would be so confused that I would quit. But also when I look at my future, I never really envisioned university. It's what my parents wanted me to do.
And that what you right now are saying is that have so many people. So listen to what she's been through, listen to what I have been through, and take it as your courage. Because you can let go.
Yes.
You can go further. The future has so many things for you.
And it can be scary. Like,
it's so scary.
You have no idea how much it took me to quit university. Because it was also, I felt like it's not me to quit. Because I failed a certain topic 8 times. 8 times. Because I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna continue. I don't freaking care if I need to get this topic right. I'm gonna do it. And every time the teacher was like, and it wasn't even, the stupid thing was I needed 0.1 I needed to go to basically pass.
Yeah.
8 times. So for me, that already took a lot of courage. And after the 8th time, I told the teacher, you know what? I want to take the class all over again. All over again. Yeah. That's insane. You know, the whole class.
Yeah.
Said, maybe this way will help. And immediately the first day I sat down, I walked out of that class and I was like, I have to quit.
Yeah.
I am done. And that was so scary. Like I'm like sitting here saying it quite normally because there's a period of time that has passed. But at that moment, I did not realize that doing that was the best thing I could have done for me. Right now, there's a weight off my shoulder. At that moment, I didn't have it. I was quite stressed even. I would be like, how am I gonna tell people? Like a lot of people here, the first thing they say is, are you studying? And I would say, no, I quit. And then that's quite a shameful thing to say, like, oh, no, I didn't finish my university. But I say it with pride even, because I am here to stand out. I am here to stand out. And you as well.
Yeah.
Initially, you as well. You're here to stand out. And if university doesn't work, that's fine. Like, the problem is, however, there are a lot of people on social media saying you don't need school to succeed in life. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try university. I'm not trying to discourage you to go to school, because school has its important part. And a lot of things I am going through now, I've learned from even the university I've been through. I learned a lot of stuff. However, if you notice, I was being bullied by the teachers. Basically.
Oh, not only bullied by the teachers, but it wasn't the environment you needed to grow, because a lot of people don't see it, but your environment is very important.
Exactly.
If you don't have a good environment around you, then you will not succeed.
No.
Just because everyone is negative around you,
Yeah.
it will impact your mental health.
Mm-hmm.
That's also, I have finished my, university, I don't know how you say it. And I've, I've had a good time,
Mm-hmm.
but for me, it took for me 3 years to finish it. And I had a really good time. So it was easy for me to finish it because
Yeah.
everyone around me loved me, like they liked me,
Yeah.
and I liked them. So it was so nice. But the person I was at that moment, I am not happy about. I was I was another person.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's so true.
Mm-hmm.
I was not who I am today because I was surrounded by people who were different than me.
I see.
Yeah, and what I mean by that is they had other priorities. My priority was to succeed,
Wow.
to look at my future, but at that time, it's like for me the ice age. I stood still, you know.
Yes.
I was going back at my puberty time.
Right.
Yeah, so it was
Wow.
such another experience, and I love it that I have experienced that. But it wasn't the environment that I would love to be in.
No.
And that's why I'm happy, and I hope you will be as well, in a good environment where you can be happy and grow to the future you know.
You know what the funny thing is that you mentioned this? Like for me, for example, when I was in high school, like what we mentioned, I could hang out with everyone. Everyone. Even, you know what's so funny thinking about it? There was this one school bully. Like, we had no bullying in my school, but there was one guy, and he was so annoying, I would say. Like, he was known. Everyone knew who he was.
Yeah.
Even with him, I could hang out. Like, that's something I always had. So, when I entered university, there were different types of people. First of all, no one knows each other at first. Everyone is from everywhere. But my class was basically split in half. One of them would party every day, every week, and one of them was very serious in class. And I wanted to experience both. I wanted to be a student, but I never wanted to be